We are reading 11th shlok. So Arjun has said everything from his side, and now Krishna is trying to motivate Arjun. See, the whole point of Gita is to show the truth. Similarly, what my job here is to show you the truth. If you don't see what is around you, what you love the most, first tell me. Your family members, person who wronged you, person who betrayed you, person who belittled you, he or she, you may feel that I don't want to be with that person, or I am having vairagya towards that, but actually that is fake. The person whom you love, with that you need vairagya. Your children are the most biggest one. Your children, it starts there. They are your enemies. People ask me who is my, who's my mother, who's my son, who's my daughter, who's my this. People have a lot of questions about these things. If I tell you they are your enemies, you're not ready to listen. Your children are your enemies. People who are hurting you are your friend. This is the truth. Because those who are hurting you in this universe, they are pushing you to get out of it. They are pushing you that this is not true. Whatever faith or attachment you had in me is wrong. Their actions are proving that. And those who are forcing you to stay with them, for example, your children are the most important one. Those, even if they hurt you, you still love them. Even if they throw you in old age home, you'll be like, you'll justify them. Yeah, it's nowadays, it is, this is how it is. I mean, what they can do, you know they don't even have help. We live in a foreign country. So parents are also justifying it, whatever their kids are doing, even if it's wrong. Those are your enemies. They want to keep you trapped here in this world. They don't want you to see the truth. They don't want you to see the truth. And here Arjun, forget about his own people who are children and all, his enemies he is attached to. Imagine, so much work God has to do, so much work. And even after this, he doesn't get enlightened, because even to the Swarg, the CD, the ladder to the Swarg, that he falls there also, because he had ego of being the best, uh, I think, best Dhanurdar. He had that. He had that also. So now what? Listening Gita, Yudhishthir didn't listen Gita. This is always I tell you. Tomorrow we are going to cover this. If possible, I'll cover the life story of Rumi, and you will love it. It's an amazing. It's a new perspective. You will understand spiritual life from a spiritual person. Reading books, reading chapters, reading someone else's vyakhya, description, they are talking from worldly place. They don't know the element. They won't explain you what that person was feeling at that time. That only a spiritual person can tell you, because they have gone through that. Similarly, here, Krishna is saying, Arjun, you grieve over those who should not be grieved for. Why are you grieving for people who don't even deserve this? And yet speak like a learned wise man. I mean, you see how he's insulting him. He's shaking Arjun up. He has to do it. What nonsense are you talking to me? You say you're a well educated person, a wise man, and you are grieving over people who don't even deserve it. What I make out of this? Krishna has to talk like this. Do you think he will talk like this to anyone else? Anyone else? Will he shake anyone else up? For them, he's just Paramatma, God. He'll just watch, he will see, okay, let universe take its course. One day they will realize. He's seeing everyone's ego, false things, whatever they want, hidden agendas. He is seeing everything, but he's not guiding them in that way. He's not correcting them. He's not pointing their mistakes. Why? He knows what is right, what is wrong, yet he's not doing it because they never surrender to him. They never asked. And those who ask only get help. One day we'll do cover the Udo Gita as well. Udo was in the whole life of Krishna, he was there. He never asked for anything from Krishna. At the end, Krishna says, what I can give you? You never asked me anything. So he asked a lot of questions to Krishna about Mahabharat, Kurukshetra, Hastinapur, all of these things. He asked a lot of questions to clarify. He was also intellect, too much arguments. In Krishna's like, okay, I'm dying anyway. In few, he was almost on the verge. He was almost leaving for his passing away. So he's like, okay, this also I'll do before going. Okay, I'll answer your questions. Again, not a shishya. He wasn't his disciple. Same is the case for me. If you ask me questions, I will answer you. If you are not my disciple, I will answer you. I will take, okay, yeah, I just have to answer them. But if you are my disciple, I have to awaken you because you only surrendered. You only seek for help. So those who seek and those who seek fast, they want fast answers, then they get fast responses as well. Wise men do not sorrow over the dead or living. This is today's topic. You never die. You never die. What Krishna is saying, don't sorrow over dead or living. In fact, there was never a time when I was not, or when you or these kings were not. Nor is it the fact that hereafter we shall be cease to be. Now he is talking about Atma, soul, slowly bringing soul in the picture, forgetting about the names, whoever's standing on the other side. He's saying, wise men don't cry about dead or living, neither they existed. There was never a time where I was not. From this very moment, he has introduced himself as the infinite, the unified consciousness. From this very moment, the moment he starts speaking Gita, he's only talking about Atma, Atmagyan, Brahm Gyan. He's only talking, there was never a time I was not. There was never I didn't exist. I was always there. Just as boyhood, youth, and old age are attributed, the soul through this body, even so it attains another body, the wise man does not get deluded about this. It's just body that grows old from young age to elderly. You all are living so much in blindness. How do I know that? When I realize these things, what is the meaning of realize? When it came inside of me. When this Gyan Prakash came from inside of me, I used to see this world in a family. You are also living in this family. Listen carefully. In one family, there are all generations. One who is just born, one who's in the middle trying to collect, and the one who's going to leave everything. And they have seen death also within a family. But we are so blind by Maya, affection, self love, self involvement, attachments, we don't care. One is being born so he can earn whole life, and one leaving behind all his earnings. In one family, this is happening in front of you, yet it now never comes here. This is Vivek, Jagrukta. This happens. This is Vairagya. You start seeing this. You go to museums, history museums, all these places. People have left their belongings there, and you are spending hours, countless hours to collect these things. And now they're just part of museums. That's it. You never even think of all of this. Nothing comes to you. Why? This should be your question. Why I don't think like this? Why this thought doesn't come to me? O son of Kunti, the contacts between the senses and their objects, which give rise to the feelings of heat and cold, pleasure and pain, are transitory and fleeting. Therefore, Arjuna, endure them. This is all temporary. Today, what you're liking, I give you example of this. Imagine you really want to have an ice cream. Okay? Really want to have an ice cream. You go and buy it. First scoop or first lick that you take, what is the taste of that? Then the second one, how does that taste? Is there a difference? Do this experiment with yourself. Okay? Whenever you Whenever I tell you something, go home and do this experiment, because unless you do the experiment, you won't experience it yourself. That's why in schools and colleges like chemistry, physics, there's theoretical classes and there's practical classes. So this is practical. Go home, eat that one scoop and then another one. The first one is full of full of desire that I want to have this. The first one, full of that pleasure. This is what I wanted for so long, and now I have it. But the second one is less. It has less pleasure because you already tasted it, now you know how it tastes like. Then the third scoop, fourth, by the end you'll be like, "Ah, I cannot eat this all, let's just put this somewhere." Same ice cream, same person. What is changing? What is changing? So this is what Krishna is also saying, that the contact between the senses and their objects. These are our senses, and what we touch from it are the objects. This gives rise to feeling of heat, cold, pleasure, and pain. Immediately he has differentiated. Arjun is not even talking about all this. He has just left everything, that I don't want to fight, I don't want to do in this, I cannot kill these people, etc. etc. What he's talking. Imagine, he is saying nothing. Nothing Krishna is saying about why this person, that person, those name, this name. He's talking first thing about Atma. This is what Guru also does. Gives you highest knowledge so that shoot for the moon, at least you will reach the stars. He has to by the end of 18. He knows Krishna already said everything, all the gyan in one adhyay. The one who is Jagruk doesn't need to listen to the other adhyayas. All gyan is in one. Even one shlok also has it. But here awareness isn't there. So need to reread it. He needs to explain it. He needs to give a lot of clarity because it doesn't go in so much Maya's influence is here. So many attachments. He needs to pluck everyone out. So much ego. So these feelings are transitory, means they are fleeting. Now it's there, tomorrow they won't be. The same example of the ice cream I'm giving you. Even just one spoon and the next spoon, the experience has changed. It's a fleeting experience. Arjuna, the wise man to whom pain and pleasure are alike, and who is not tormented by these contacts, become eligible for immortality. That's what I want all of you to become. Why I want you to become immortal? Because you already are, you just forgot it. This morning I wake up with this thought, then I do my sadhana, the things, God's, it's come inside of me. So when we all are doing what we all are doing, we say, there is a proverb that I think wise men learn from others. This kind of proverb is there, right? We have segregated people from wise, foolish. These kind of segregations are there, correct? What is segregated in this? Who is wise, who is foolish? Say, wise man learn from others. The foolish man is not even learning from his own mistakes. This is a sansari thing. People have created it because they observe this. But what is the deep rooted, universal, and spiritual meaning behind it? Who is a wise man? Tell me. Learning from others is okay. Here, someone, that mind has done lot of tapasya in the future, in the past. He or she has went to spiritual masters, done this knowledge, gone this knowledge, now has been called like a wise man. Who else would become wise? What other way is there to become wise? The vivek, and where vivek comes from spirituality, knowing yourself. Atma, the soul, and the mind is fighting atma for no reason, doesn't want to acknowledge it. There are many people who say this doesn't exist, karmas don't exist, reincarnation don't exist. Okay, you don't believe it. You don't believe, you suffer. It's not my job to make you believe it. If you don't believe that sun is yellow, that is your problem because sun's color won't change. So mind is constantly arguing against Atma. Imagine a father who is nourishing his child, who is giving food, shelter, money, phone, books, internet, everything to the child. And the child suddenly starts fighting with the father and he leaves. It's like, I don't want to stay with you. What you're doing is nonsense. He's like 8 years old or 6 years old. Yeah? Child. What will people say to it? What will people say? He's being childish. He's being stupid. Right? That is mind. That is your mind. He's being childish. He's fighting with the source, the very being that gives it existence. Without Atma, who will be powering this mind? Who will power it? No breath? Does this work? It doesn't work. It's called being childish. That's why God is also like, okay, I'm watching people being childish. Is their mind playing games? Let them be. When the time comes, they will become wise. Wise man, he doesn't fight with Atma. He realizes, starts reflecting, starts changing itself. Where I am wrong, how can I be better? That is the difference. Foolish is not even learning from his own mistakes, and a wise man learn from someone else's mistake. How can you learn from someone else's mistake unless you are self aware? You have compassion, you have empathy. How do you learn from someone else's mistake? You put yourself in someone else's shoes. You say, okay, if this person started a business and went through so and so hurdles and still failed, then I need to do so and so things better. Immediately you put yourself in that situation and you said, okay, I won't do these mistakes and I will do this better. How I can, my weaknesses are this, his weaknesses are something else, so I need to work on these 5 points. This is a wise man. In reality, in sansar, they don't link with spirituality, but at the end it is that. How will you have that kind of self awareness? What is growth mindset? What is these corporate terms everybody is talking about? They are segments of spirituality. That's it. Segments of spirituality, because they don't want to believe that there is God. Rather, they would believe something like growth mindset. So, my job is to make you all self aware. What is your Gita? What is the Arjun inside of you lacks? Also, do you have punya karam enough? Because Arjun has quite big punyas, good karmas, that God Himself is telling him this. Do you have this? You need to have that much money in bank account, right? To transact. Do we? Ask yourself. He's merely a beggar, Arjun. That's what he says. Please, I don't know, help me. This is where it starts. The unreal has no existence. There is no death. There is death. Death is the only thing that wakes you up, but there is no death. There's always two things in spirituality. Two things. I am everything and I am nothing. Death is the only thing that wakes you up, and there is no death. It works as an enabler to make you see that it is very existent. Existence is unreal. So many people died in your family. Please tell me, my dear angels, Buddha saw one dead man and he left his family. He left to get enlightenment. So many people died in your family. Why nothing happens? Why nothing happens here? Why no awakening? Why no realization that I want to get out of here? Why still have desires? These should be your question to me. Your questions to me. Why, Prakriti ji, I don't have this, what they had? Why I don't feel that pain? Why I don't have that level of compassion? Why I cannot love? So much ego is here, so much undiscovered about yourself, so much undiscovered about yourself. You have no idea. And we think we are there. That is the beauty of this knowledge. We read and we say, oh, we are there. I have covered everything. I know everything. I show signals of this also. I show signals of surrender. I show signals of sympathy, empathy, compassion, love. But all wrong examples based on your own judgment. Someone has to give you certificate. You go to college, you don't give marks in your paper. Someone else give you that. Otherwise, you'll give S, A, B, C, D grade all by yourself, right? 100 out of 100. Someone else does that for you. For you, that someone else is your family members. If not guru, then family members. When they say, okay, this person, what has happened to you? You are very changed. Then think something is happening. You used to be a completely annoying person like this. Now you don't behave like that. Now your conversations are different. If your peers, your family members, or the enemy, or your worst relationship, they are saying this compliment to you, that means something is changing. That is the certificate. That is the certificate. You cannot say to yourself, I've done it. I was so kind today. I was so humble today. I was so forgiving today. No, who knows? So the unreal has no existence and the real never cease to be. The reality of both has thus been perceived by the seers of the truth. This Maya never existed and the truth never left. That's what it is. Just you didn't have enough pure eyes to see it. How impurity comes into us. When I say pure eyes, how this becomes impure. Do you know? As you go into Maya, you start getting attached, always consuming, always using these senses, always doing something or the other. Then, when you're attached, I gave this karmic circle story yesterday. When you're attached, you start doing bad karmas to protect what you're attached to, and you call it dharma. Be carefully understand it. Okay, what you're protecting is your attachment towards people, family, yourself, and you call it dharma. If a man is disturbed, someone in your family is very disturbed and he comes and shouts at you, you also shout back and say, it's my self respect. See, you giving it a name, self respect. But at that moment, that person may not be shouting at you because of you. They have some own personal issues, some personal problem. Give space, talk to them, understand them. But we are so attached to ourselves, we cannot hear. Doesn't matter. If you had the worst, someone died also, I don't care. How can you talk to me like this? Your best friend died, I also don't care. You cannot talk to me like this. This is how we become. So, impurities keep coming in. Attachment leads to insecurity because you don't want to leave, don't want to let go of the good things. And insecurity is a very low vibration emotion. When you're insecure, you make horrible mistakes. You're insecure about everything. You start comparing with others. You become jealous. You have hatred. You have so many things. It piles up. And that's how your mind becomes deluded. The other way is ego. You think you're already there. You think you already understand. You already, you have achieved everything. Even though you say, I have not. Please listen to me carefully. I have people who I talk to on sometimes on a daily basis or somewhere who say, uh, many divine angels who say, I am nothing, I am nobody, but deep down they know they are somebody. Unless someone points it out to you, if someone says, how can you do this? You are terrible, so and so. Then the anger comes. Then you see the ego. Lot of pandit, lot of speakers, spiritual leaders also say this, I am nothing, I am nobody. But when a student or someone points at them, look at their reaction. That is where you see the hidden ego, that they are also hiding from themselves. They're lying to themselves. You are also lying to yourself. So, attachment and then ego, all this delude your mind, makes it impure. Impure enough that you cannot see what has been in front of your eyes all along. Since birth till death, it has been there. The truth is there. When you are here, when you will not be here, it will be here. It always existed. It will never be ceased to exist. The real never ceases to be. It won't leave. Just you are not pure enough to see it. So, how to do that? That is the whole point of these spiritual gatherings, to make you pure babies so that you can see the world how it is meant to be seen. Right now, you're seeing it from your mind's filter. From your mind's filter. We need to fix that. So, this is today's session. I think I'll cover one more shlok. Know that alone to be imperishable, which pervades this universe, for no one has power to destroy this indestructible substance. That is you, Ajar, Amar, Avinashi. You are this indestructible element. It always existed. You were there. You never die. There is no death. Everything is illusion, but so hard to experience. So hard to experience because mind is so impure. Mind has so much ego, so much self love, self value, so much is there, and it's fighting with Atma, like I shared. It's a baby arguing with father. The father keeps forgiving. It's like, okay, if I don't give, then who will? If I don't give, then who will? That's how you do to your children, right? Even if they become angry, they become upset, they start fighting with you, it's like, okay, it's okay. It's being childish. Let it be. This is what your mind does. I don't believe in God. I have people coming to me, they say, believe in luck. What is luck? I have my luck. Tell me, what is luck? You believe in an unidentified phenomena which is not justified by science yet, because it makes you believe that there's no one higher than you. That luck is also yours. Understand that. My luck. You don't want to believe in God. That there is a universe, there's all karma, all this planning are there. There's no such thing as luck in spirituality. There's no such thing as coincidences in spirituality. Everything is planned. Everything is how it's supposed to be. This is language of surrender because something above you exists. There are people who don't want to believe this. They are so much in delusion, like you all are there, you're still better than them. They are more in delusion that they don't even want to believe in this. They would say there's something called unidentified phenomena yet to be discovered by explained by science, rather than saying it is all karmic or this kind of. So much ego, imagine. So much ego, they don't want to believe something is above them. The luck is also mine, my luck, his luck, your luck. So you have power to control it, which means they want to lose power. And God's job is to make you helpless. He'll make you helpless. You will have so much money, so much power, yet you won't be able to control anything. Your hands won't work, your legs won't work, you'll be on a wheelchair, then what? He will make you helpless. That is how he wants you to, that is how universe punish. Unless you don't understand that there is someone higher than you, unless you surrender to the ego, your ego, And until you do, this is how much. And do you think as a father or a mother, you like when you punish your kids? Do you think when you're strict with them, do you like it? No, nobody does. God also does not. But what I can do? You have so much ego. He's saying, so much ego. How I fix this person? I have to punish him. I have to shake them up. How they will realize? Going back to zero. If death wasn't there, then people never will realize. If Maya wasn't here, Maya is also Kripa. Trust me. If Maya wasn't there in this world, you would constantly think about when I'm going to die, when I'm going to die, when I'm going to die. You go insane. Okay? If Maya wasn't there to keep you busy in all the things, you would go insane about this. That is also Kripa. You don't see it. But it's a blessing to enjoy, not to get stuck in. We are getting stuck. You are stuck in this. If I tell you 300 births, all of you sitting here are stuck in Maya. 300 birth human. How many more? Who knows? Who next spiritual gathering you will be in next birth? Listening to the same things again, again, again until finally become strong to get out of it.